It looks petty. It looks like you're being a sore loser. It looks like you are making excuses.
Imagine being the most talked about rookie in WNBA history, bringing millions of new fans to the game, only to watch as referees allow opponents to physically target you game after game. That's exactly what happened to Caitlin Clark in her rookie season, and the footage proves it. From Jackie Young smacking her in the face with just a common foul to Alyssa Thomas bulldozing her with a shoulder check that somehow wasn't ruled a flagrant, the pattern is impossible to ignore.
Your team, it's just weird, and it's so interesting to me how still Caitlin Clark is getting under everyone's skin. Like, she so easily can get under the skin of other players.
We've compiled every major missed call against Clark this season, and when you see them all together, you'll understand why fans are outraged. Or your team? It's just weird. And it's fascinating how Caitlin Clark continues to get under people's skin, so easily frustrating opponents.
Other coaches, it feels like a lot of these players and teams just hate the Indiana Fever, and I mean, I get it. This team was one of the worst teams in the league, and they are now climbing the ranks.
Did you see what happened to Caitlin Clark in the playoffs when Jai Carrington straight up poked her in the eye, and the refs just stood by? It wasn't just a bad call, it was the perfect snapshot of how officials have handled the WNBA's biggest new star all season long. Other coaches believe there's serious hostility toward the Indiana Fever. The basketball world is watching as the rookie who has changed women's basketball steps onto the biggest stage of her young career. With 5:48 left in the second quarter, everything shifts. Harassed by Carrington, Clark finds Boston after taking a shot. As Clark delivers the pass, Carrington lunges for the ball, but instead of making a clean defensive play, her fingers make direct contact with Clark's eye. The impact is immediate. Clark recoils, clearly dazed, her hand instinctively reaching for her face. You can literally see the pain flash across her expression. And what happens next? Absolutely nothing. She catches a finger to the eye, and the whistle never blows. The crowd waits, and waits, but the refs stay silent. Play continues like nothing happened while Clark blinks through the pain, desperately trying to refocus on the game. Even the broadcast team couldn't hide their disbelief. Clark, harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down. Their voices rose in shock, because how could that not be a foul? And here's the kicker. Indiana had no way to challenge because there was no call to begin with. It wasn't intentional from Carrington, but there was enough contact that it certainly should have been a personal foul. But what makes this moment even more telling isn't just the missed call, it's what happened afterward. Clark didn't make a scene. She didn't throw her hands up or argue with the officials. She simply took the hit, a bruise already forming around her eye, and kept playing. And it clearly affected her. She finished the first half shooting just 1 for 9, her rhythm completely thrown off by the uncalled foul. You see the poke in the eye. One of the areas where Indiana struggled earlier in the season, Ryan, was handling defensive pressure when teams blitzed Caitlin Clark, especially in her ability to find Aaliyah Boston. Meanwhile, fans weren't nearly as composed.
Now, they better choose carefully and choose wisely, because even though everybody wants to show out and support Caitlin Clark, I told you earlier, I think a lot of people are getting real close to turning the TV back off because the WNBA does not want to step up and take responsibility for this shit.
Social media exploded, calling it one of the worst officiated basketball games ever and an embarrassment to the league. The clips went viral within minutes, shocking even casual viewers. Now, the WNBA has a choice to make. Because while millions are tuning in to watch Caitlin Clark, a lot of them are also on the verge of turning the TV back off. The league needs to step up and take responsibility. And here's the real issue. This wasn't just one missed call. The eye poke was just another moment in a season full of physical targeting without officiating protection. Game after game, Clark endured body checks, hard fouls, an aggressive defense that often crossed the line from competitive to outright dangerous. Kennedy Carter now from Boston.
Now, she may be thinking, look, if they're not going to call these flagrant fouls and they're going to let everybody in the league beat the crap out of me, I better do something to put on some mass to protect myself.
As the officials review this. And Clark, what we're seeing isn't just the typical rookie treatment that young players face. It's something different, something more targeted. And through it all, Clark has kept her composure, never using officiating as an excuse.
Talk about. So the first one here is when Caitlin Clark got a technical for slapping the padding that is on the hoop.
And now, she might be thinking, if they're not going to call these flagrant fouls, and they're going to let everyone in the league hit me, I better do something to put on some muscle and protect myself. If you thought the eye poke with no call was bad, wait until you see the absurd double standard that's been happening all season.
Staying with her, preventing her from getting those touches.
And Caitlin Clark gets hit with a tech. She was jawing for a while after that foul call on Aaliyah, but this one I think is about her frustration with missing that last three.
In one game, Clark gets a technical for barely touching the backboard after missing her own shot. Minutes later, a veteran player physically shoves her from behind during a timeout, and the refs act like they didn't see a thing. Talk about inconsistency.
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball. So I don't know, it reminded me of the technical that I got in college where I said damn it, where it's like a personal frustration. Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor and I felt like I should have been making more shots. So but I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that, so I want to thank him for that.
Later in that exact same game, Skylar Diggins-Smith physically shoved Clark from behind during a timeout. This wasn't some accident or basketball play. It was a deliberate push in full view of everyone in the arena during a stoppage in play. And what did the officials do this time? Absolutely nothing. No technical, no warning, not even an acknowledgement that it happened while fans booed in complete disbelief. Social media exploded immediately. Fans couldn't understand how Clark gets punished for showing the slightest bit of emotion towards an inanimate object, while a veteran player can physically assault her without any consequences. It's not just inconsistent officiating. It's a clear pattern showing rookies like Clark are held to impossible standards, while veterans seem to have complete immunity.